zap incoming missiles, disrupt global communications, and engineer the weather. And ready? There's one more. Some people believe the technology being tested here could be used for sinister projects involving humans. Radio waves messing around with people's brain waves.
April 21st, you said that you told the Associated Press that the American government has created weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and control the rest.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
World government is the structure necessary for global justice.
There's a need for a new world order, but it has different characteristics in different parts of the world.
The chilling new world order where the masters of mind control will become masters of the world. Mind control will be the ultimate non-lethal weapon.
You can get into their minds and vice versa. You begin to lose your individuality. We will be evolving into a rather different social entity.
Could you ever really put enough electrodes into the brain to understand these signals in a meaningful way?
In your time, no. In my time, yes.
We can go one stage further, if you like. We can put them inside the brain. Here are human nerve cells growing onto the surface of an RFID-type chip. Human brain cells don't need to be taught to do this. They are genetically programmed to work with computers. In fact, they love computers. Here's an example. Here is a chip. There's the chip. You put the brain tissue on and it organizes itself. The brain cells work their way in and they start communicating with each other and with the brain of the PC.
How do you push the electrode to the brain?
So what you do is you actually send a certain number of them. You have a bundle, and then the bundle would be, the nanowires would be allowed to float into the bloodstream until they can go no further.
Like it or not, though, the brain-computer interface is coming along pretty quickly.
And once you figure out how to get a single electrode to accurately record brain signals, it's not too hard to get thousands to work. It's mostly a matter of miniaturization.
National Security Agency, the NSA, visited us. And these guys they sort of have a mystique, being members of the intelligence community. The people who came are very smart. They're dressed in suits that cost more than I make in a year. I think some of their interest is potentially sinister.
Dr. Persinger's tests suggest that carefully programmed electromagnetic frequencies can tap into individual brains and influence people's emotions.
The cognitive processes of the human brain are really quite simple. And if you understand how they work, you can make entire populations think and decide the manner in which you wish.
Similarly, using the appropriate fields, we can induce fear and apprehension.
It's such a wide tapestry of social engineering, biological engineering, guinea pig testing going on against all of us, psychological, chemical in nature, genetic.
Psychological warriors are bringing cutting-edge technology to a more insidious weapon: propaganda.
We're moving toward third-wave modes of warfare, which apply information, knowledge, intelligence, strategy, deception, media, the use of the media for managing the perception
Persinger thinks the implications are chillingly real.
Suppose you generate a field that produces fear, fundamental fear, in large numbers of people. And then, over the television, more traditional ways, you say, the reason we're having this fear is because of this particular group. And now you start to move the population believing in a direction that you wish.
To influence 250 million people, the equivalent of the entire population of the United States, may not be that difficult. According to Dr. Persinger, we already have the technology, satellites and television and radio transmitters. Mind control may already be happening. We know the mysterious PSYOPs plane can beam persuasive sounds and pictures into people's television sets. will it someday beam disturbing frequencies directly into the mind?
It turns out until 9 years ago, the government had the right under U.S. law to conduct secret testing on the American public under specific conditions. Only a public outcry repealed part of that law, with some exceptions.
Maybe we were a biological experiment of some kind.
People say the government is up there in airplanes spraying all kinds of chemicals to change or manipulate the weather, leaving what you see there, and they call that a chemtrail.
Since the 1950s, whole cities have been bombarded with live bacteria, supposedly harmless, but causing illness and death for some Americans.
Later, the 1994 Rockefeller Report concluded hundreds of thousands of military personnel were also subjected to secret biological experiments over the last 60 years.
I got sick, my wife got sick, my daughter, everybody that lived here got sick.
Everybody in the whole town came down with like a flu, only it was a really hard flu. It didn't last like 7 days, it lasted like 7 weeks to 2 or 3 months.
Could a strange substance found by a Southwest Arkansas man be part of a government test? Well, that's the question at the heart of a phenomenon called chemtrails, now getting widespread attention.
Another report here. Government scientists propose geoengineering Earth's upper atmosphere and then admit they've already been doing it. In the last 6 months, thousands of government publications have admitted they are altering the atmosphere. There's no longer a debate about chemtrails. They just say the details are classified, shut up. They're having it basically added to the jet fuel by law. That way it's compartmentalized. The companies buying their jet fuel have nothing to do with it. It's just done. And the nuclei is being entered into the atmosphere. And they have darkened the Earth by 20% according to NASA. They are terraforming us, altering the atmosphere.
Those who fear chemtrails could be secret biological or chemical testing on the public point to the 1977 Senate hearings in particular, which confirmed 239 populated areas had been contaminated with biological agents between 1949 and 1969.
And he says they're disposable coffins, I believe he told me. And he says there's 100, at that time, he said there was 125,000 there. And they were stacked, he told me 15 high. I asked him who owned them, and he stated that the CDC owned them and that they were leasing the land.
Bill Nichols snapped several photos of the strange clouds from his home in Stamps, Arkansas. They begin as normal contrails from a jet engine, but do not fade away like a normal contrail. Soon after, he saw particles in the air. Because we'd see it drop to the ground in a haze. Nichols then noticed the material collecting on the ground. KSLA News 12 had the sample tested at a lab. The results? A high level of barium, 6.8 parts per million, more than 3 times the toxic level set by the EPA. KSLA News 12 discovered chemtrails are even mentioned by name in the initial draft of House Bill 2977 back in 2001 under the Space Preservation Act. But the military denies any such program exists.
And what I found was unusual spiking since the early 1990s in barium, aluminum.
Rosalind Peterson of California Skywatch says health department records show a sharp increase in both chemicals in the water supply of Northern California, dating from the time the huge contrails first appeared over her home in Mendocino County.
It had to be airborne, because how could it get to such diverse regions of our county? We have jets going in every direction.
We wanted to find out exactly what effects barium has on the body. We spoke with Mark Ryan, the director of the Poison Control Center. Ryan tells KSLA News 12 that short-term exposure can lead to anything from stomach to chest pains. Long-term exposure causes blood pressure problems. Ryan addressed concerns by chemtrail researchers that barium could be meant to wear down a person's immune system.
Anything that causes ill effects in the body long-term chronically is going to affect your ability because it's constantly working on the body. So from that aspect, yeah, it's a potential.
We'll see how far this clown runs when we're done with it. Starting barium IV.
That's a go. Reading all systems down the line. Your bird is singing loud and clear.
Order number 11002 directs the Postmaster General to register all residents, including the mayor, so movement and relocation can be controlled.
Privacy advocates say they're concerned these chips could monitor or track people, medical records could be abused, and a person couldn't remove the chip if they wanted to.
How much any device that we connect to the brain is there to help us, and how much it's there to monitor or control us. We should be controlling things. Things should not be controlling us.
So suddenly you have not a human.
The FEMA plans to imprison American citizens have generated a lot of interest around the country in locating the potential prison camps throughout the country.
First, we Americans are going to have to yield up some of our sovereignty. That's going to be, to many, a bitter pill.